to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to another episode of A Well-Designed Business. Today is a particularly wonderful show with lots of practical advice from one very smart lady, Lori Paranjape, who is affectionately known as Mrs. Paranjape. Lori's work has appeared in People, HGTV Magazine, Domino, and many more, and she is one of the brightest stars in the Nashville interior design scene. Mrs. Paranjape Design and Interiors, which began in 2008, specializes in luxury residential and new construction projects, which happen to take her all around the country. Lori is self-taught and 110% driven. She was asked time after time to help friends and families with their homes. As referrals exploded, Lori began working as the in-house designer for the beloved home retailer to generations of families in Tennessee, Redo Home and Design, which is now a leading retail boutique and collective of interior designers based in Nashville. Lori talks with us today about this innovative relationship that she has with Redo Home and Design, and how she wants to encourage you, the designer, and you, the retailer, to consider building partnerships like the one that she enjoys with Redo Home and Design. This show is loaded with tons of practical advice. I think you'll like it. I actually pretty certain you will. I do hope you will. Now, before we get started, let me send a little love and thanks to our show sponsor, Camp Chroma. Did you know you can measure color? You can take measurements for everything else in design plan, like window treatments and furniture, so why not color too? Quantifying how we perceive color sounds like it would be complicated, but guess what? It's not. Learn all about this simple, data-based approach to architectural color design at Camp Chroma. Camp Chroma is an online, on-demand color training program for professionals like you. Go to campchroma.com to enroll now. And now let me introduce you to Lori Paranjape. Hi, Lori. Thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Good morning, Luann. Nice to be here.
Laura, I am so excited for this conversation.
Yay, me too.
So you are one of those rare interior designers that is an excellent businesswoman in addition to being a talented interior designer. And this is the kind of conversation that excites me. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about in particular is you have set up for yourself a different business model that is working very well for you in your business. And what you explained to me in our pre-conversation is that it's duplicatable. And so that makes me very happy because I love to teach our buddies out there how they can be more profitable in their businesses. So first, set up for us, what is this business model that you have going for you in Nashville?
Yeah, so my business partner and I refer to it as a design collective, and she owns a home furnishings boutique in Nashville called Redo Home and Design, and it's located down in the design district, and she has a beautiful showroom and furnishings and art and lighting and just all sorts of beautiful things. She also has in the back of the store a design center with all of the trade resources and fabric samples, and there are designers like myself who work out of that showroom who own their own businesses. So I own my own business called Mrs. Paranjape Design and Interiors, and she owns her own business. And I run my design business out of her showroom, and I source all of my furnishings through her store. And the little asterisk on that is I'm also a buyer for her store, so she just so happens to have everything I need.
Isn't that convenient?
So convenient.
So let me ask you a couple of questions in there. You mentioned that you are partners with her in this, but you also mentioned that there are other designers that are in this, like you called it a collective. Are they also financial partners as well, or they have a different arrangement and you two are the owners?
So she is the sole owner of her company. I am the sole owner of my company. The partnership on that aspect is handshake partnership in that I'm going to run my design business out of here. And her half of the partnership is I'm going to make it really easy for you to run your design business out of here.
Okay.
And I'm going to provide every bit of support that I can offer to you in the form of an operations manager, an accountant, ordering, warehousing, returns, damages, POs, invoicing, money collection, return, anything on the administrative side. She provides that for me in order to make it easy for me to only work out of there. I have no reason to go anywhere else. There's nothing that's not available to me. And if there were, her request would be that I let her know what that is so she can line that up for me.
Nice. So when you describe working out of there, is in your mind, are you describing a virtual working out of there through all the services, or do you actually have your own office there as well?
It is my office. She has there's a front of the store that's retail and a back of the store that's design center and administrative. And so my office is there. The island is where I sit. I sort of have taken it over, and she's lovingly allowed me to do so. But with my team, so 4 lead designers, I have a design manager, and I'm about to hire a studio assistant, and all of us are in there working on my projects within her space.
And when you mention that other designers are involved in this as well, is your relationship special in that your team lives and resides and works out of there, but Sally Smith designer might come and have that relationship with her as far as the buying, but she doesn't work out of there?
Yeah, there's some special sauce there. There are a couple of other designers who have the same opportunities that I do and have made their own arrangements with her for doing that. The partnership that we refer to happened 10 years ago when she said, I'm a retailer, you're a designer. I think we should figure this out together. And we did. We've actually branched off into a contractual business partnership for my online retail store, which is Shop, Mrs. Paranjape, and she and I are partners in that. She is the wholesale, the retail piece of that, and I am the marketing and sales side of that. So it's just sort of a support of my business that we went into together because I can't sell without her buying it, and she doesn't have to buy it unless someone sells it, and that's me.
Wow, this is genius. I am so blown away right now.
It really is something that I would just love to whisper in the ear of these designers who are driving all over town trying to get 10% off or whatever. And I understand that you have to start somewhere, but hey, retailers, wine and dine your designers.
Right.
Please don't chase them away from taking a picture of a SKU on a Lee fabric that they're trying to get. Say, hey, you want to buy Lee from me?
Right. Let
me help you. Why don't I make an invoice for you?
Yeah. So let's break that down a little bit. Okay. So what happens is you run your interior design firm physically out of this place. And you said that they do the purchasing and the invoicing and the billing and the collections and the receivables and the returning and all of that stuff.
Correct.
Is she also, I have a lot of questions in there, but let me just establish this first criteria. How's that for English? Are you also having her collect your design fees and she's actually running the entire financial management. Not that I don't think for one second that you don't oversee it, but do you know? So in other words, if you are going to have a design fee for a client, that might be $5,000, and that's all the work that your team is intellectually doing. Are you collecting that separately, or does that run through that business as well?
It's an excellent question. They are clean, clear, and separate.
Okay.
I invoice for design time from Mrs. Paranjape Design and Interiors, and I'm paid through Mrs. Paranjape Design and Interiors on anything relating to my design time or reimbursables for travel or my travel fees and anything in that. Anything related to the purchase and the procurement of items is run through Redo Home and Design invoicing.
Okay. And let's go a little further. So example, Mrs. Smith pays $5,000 for a design fee. You specify $25,000 in furnishings and accessories through Redo Home and Design. It gets bought and invoiced through Redo Home and Design. And then what happens? Does Redo Home and Design cut you back a check for the difference? Okay. And what happens? Like once a month, she clears the books and says, okay, you sold $100,000 worth of product. Here's your $20,000. Like, how does that work?
Anything that is closed, any sale that is closed and paid for and delivered, then becomes a commissionable sale.
I love it. And so you obviously sell a lot of product. We're not talking about 1 or 2 sofas a month. So is it that she, at the end of the month, rectifies the bills like she would a commissioned salesperson and cuts you a check for everything that's closed?
Yeah, it's not like on the month. We're not set up in that way. It just, as it closes, it gets sent over to the accountant. And the accountant,
as every job closes, it does. Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. Whoa. That's amazing. I love this. Yeah. Okay. So,
and can I make one little business note, because she's her kind of sharpening her business tools in the management of the growth of my business has been pretty phenomenal. And she, when I put a sale through, she transfers my commission into a money market account and holds it until it's time for me to get it. So she's smart. Never sweating that check.
Smart.
Right? Let's be businesswomen, shall we?
Oh my goodness. I mean, and that's good business for every designer in their own bank accounts, right?
That's right.
Yes.
We should not be surprised by bills.
No. And it's funny because there was a show with Michelle Williams from Profit, and she's a Profit First certified coach, and she discusses, this for every business owner, that they should have separate business accounts. So for different things, for exactly this reason. So in the case of the retailer that you're working with, it's for her to have your commission set aside, but it could be for any business. But it's the whole thing is to not be surprised when the monies are due. I love it. I had a conversation also recently with an accountant who said the same thing. He said, if you're an interior designer and you've sold a project for somebody, he said, take all of the the cost of goods and put it in a different bank account, so that when that bill comes and your profit that you expect to go, just like you just said, this woman does, she leaves one in her operating and she takes the other out for her. I love it.
That's right.
It's the best way to do things because, I love it. Okay. So, oh my goodness, there's so much to talk about in here. Okay. So let's talk about the obvious things that I'm sure, that are going through our colleagues' minds are simple things like, hey, Lori, how is it possible that you never need to source something other than from this one store? Okay, you get to go to market once or twice a year and buy for her, but how does that really work in real life? So tell us a little bit about that process.
Well, I think the answer to that is experience, for one thing. Is that we have a pretty wide, deep body of work of what do I use, how are we doing on what have we had to go buy in the retail market that we should be sourcing ourselves, and what really good example is like top of the bed. Okay. So we're like, at the home stretch, how come we forgot that every bed in every house needs sheets, right? Simple, right? But I don't buy those at Target or Williams Sonoma Home or sure as hell not Restoration Hardware. That's a whole, we're going to unpack
Tell
that
us how you really
day,
feel.
Right? So now we have 3 or 4 sources for that. Okay. So now when I go through and we have, okay, here's the headboard, nightstands, lamps, this is the rug, this is the custom pillows we want to make on top of the bed, this is the duvet, here's the quilt. I think I'd like to do white linen sheets. And it's all sourced and selected. Nothing is an accident.
Right.
So that is the sort of the long answer to how can she possibly have everything I need? Well, we've kind of figured out where our holes are.
Right.
And figured out that we need high and low accessories. So let's go buy some stuff that's on the low end at market that has a really low starting price point. And then we have our specialty accessory lines that we use that are the important pieces that we feature and that you can pay attention to. And we have a retailer or wholesaler for books. We use coffee table books. I mean, we can spend $5,000 on coffee table books and not even be close to having enough. Right. So shouldn't we be sourcing that?
Right.
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yes. And the key is here, and you said it a few moments ago, the key is for not only the designer to think about this differently, but the key is for that retailer to think about it differently, right? She is willing and happy and able to accommodate your request. And she doesn't look at you and say, yeah, I don't sell sheets, Lori. She says, okay, let's get a source for sheets. Let's pick the one you like and let's put them in here.
Absolutely. And it's one of the, we talked in the pre-interview just a little bit. It's a little bit of the mindset shift that she and I have really come to agreeably. Our main principle of our business model is win-win. Right. And we sort of come back and, touch base with one another and say, hey, I'm doing really well. Are you doing well? Am I reaping more benefit than you are? And then for her to turn around and say, I'm doing great. This is supporting my business so well. So we check in. Are we supporting one another's businesses? But she came to me with the concept of the sheets. Like, hey, I noticed that, at the end, you guys are kind of scrambling for this. I'm going to, when we go to market, that's on my list. I need to find somebody who's really good at this.
Okay.
So I feel like retailers and designers sometimes can feel at odds and not in partnership. The goal in my understanding of the principle is that retailers like to sell things and that designers are selling things. Right. And they can really partner one another in a valuable way to say, oh, you carry, Cisco Brothers, you carry Arteriors. I love Arteriors. That's great. Let me show you everything we have in Arteriors. Can I order anything for you? I'd love to, and I'll write you a commission check.
How many square feet is the retail part, the front part of the studio, the showroom?
It's about 1,200 square feet.
Oh, it's tiny. I mean, it's not tiny, but it's not.
No, it's tiny.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a boutique,
right? It's not this big, vast showroom with thousands of items in it. I was picturing that it would probably be between 3,000 and 5,000 square feet by the description. So not only is this an insanely well thought out business model, it's a very efficient business model.
That's correct.
Neither one of you, particularly her in this case, since she owns the retail side of it, are getting carried away and thinking, oh, I have to add more square footage. I have to take on more rent. I have to be able to do this. So what happens, Laura? So you, as a luxury interior designer, you're not a beginning interior designer. You are going to look for specialty things, unusual things, beautiful things, high-end things. So they can't all possibly obviously be on display in 1,200 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens? Do it together because you have the design eye, and maybe with some of those other companion designers in the space, you put the pieces in the showroom that you know will sell, that she can, cash and carry, sell to her retail clients, and then you guys are working offline or out of catalogs, or how are you doing that?
Mm-hmm. It's a little bit of a hybrid. We collect sources that may never hit our showroom floor, that we have sources on in High Point that we think are spectacular, or we're in Vegas and we see something great, or she went to Dallas this year and she's gone to New York a couple times. We're in Atlanta sometimes. So we're marketing like crazy. We need to stay on top and know what's available to us. But we have these resources. So a little bit of the way we use the showroom is we have a seat or two from most of our larger upholstery lines. So yesterday I had somebody in and we were talking about the sofas that we were probably putting in this massive renovation we're doing. And I was like, oh, come out here and sit. This isn't the frame we're doing, but this is the construction level, the quality level, and what the seat feels like. So we can get a little touch and feel in 1,200 square feet without having to have every single seat available to them, like a large scale furniture retailer. And, at this point in my career, for the most part, there's very little of that required. And we've sort of established that I'm looking out for their best interest in quality and comfort. And this is a sofa. We're specifying this sofa because it sits really deep. I know you love to sit on your feet and cross your legs underneath you when you drink your coffee in the morning. So that's what we're putting in the breakfast room.
Right.
So we're doing a little less of, are you sure that's the right lamp? Mm-hmm. And a lot more of, lamps look great.
Right.
And we're moving on. So
and that comes with experience, right? That does come with experience. It really does.
That's right.
And what I would say to that is it comes with observing your experience as a designer, observing, as you just pointed out, that to ask, how are you going to use this piece in your sunroom versus your, living room. Your living room, you may be 5'5" and you're going to sit up and entertain company. And in your sunroom, you're going to curl up with your kids or your pets or whatever. And those are two different requirements.
And those, it's sort of like a little diversion straight into just the design aspect of things. But those are what my conversations with my clients look like. There's very little comparison of, exactly the tone of beige that piece of fabric is. And it's far more of, are you a family of 2 and you have a cat? Are you a family of 6 and they all play hockey?
Right.
Where do you sit in the evenings and unwind with a glass of wine? Right. When you get up in the morning and have coffee, are you dressed or in your PJs? And that's, to me, that's how we build a house.
Right.
That everyone makes breakfast. Everyone sleeps. Everyone watches TV on a, all of those things. So there's some rudimentary, like, yes, we have to have a kitchen, right? We got that. But how do you live? Mm-hmm. Do you, luxury market? Do you have caterers when you entertain?
Right. Good point.
If you have caterers, where do they stand? In the middle of your kitchen? Because that's where I stand when I entertain.
Right.
So we have to have a separate kitchen for them. And so they're behind. And there's an oven running, and there's a dishwasher running. There's a coffee maker that they can work on. There's a sink with a disposal. There's extra large trash cans. There's everything that they need behind. So you can stand in your kitchen with a glass of champagne looking all swanky and relaxed. But we build houses that way.
Right.
Very little to do with, what I say to my clients is pretty is easy. Mm-hmm. Let's just assume it's going to be pretty.
Right.
Let's make it livable and workable for you. We can make this really smart too.
I love it. It's the whole conversation about moving the consumer from the comparison of the tangible price tag items into the realm of the value that can only be gotten by you as an individual, whoever you are. Each one of us has the ability to bring our own stamp to something. And what you're describing is that you're having less conversations about the actual individual knob on the countertop or on the on the cabinet, as opposed to what kind of cabinet storage is going to, serve you.
Right. Do you make smoothies? Do you need a refrigeration drawer in the pantry that has all of your vegetables and fruits in it, and that's where the mixer is, and there's a dishwasher because you got to clean out that chunky stuff. So there's got to be a disposal. And it's practical. It's boring. It's not. It's not boring. It's mundane. It's average. It's everyday. But to me, that's how I care for my clients.
Right.
That is how I take care of them when they go to sit a glass down. And all of those needs have been met in 3 years. And then that's when they send me a love note. It's let's operate under the assumption that it's going to be pretty and everybody's going to think that it's really pretty and you're going to be proud of it.
Right.
Because that, to me, if you're hiring a designer, should be kind of
the given.
Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. But does it work?
Right.
Is it thoughtful? Does your family of 6 hockey players, can they come into the house and drop off all their gear and start a load of laundry and then come into the kitchen? Or do they put their hockey equipment on the kitchen sink?
Right.
Because we didn't build the house right then.
Right. It's, what's funny is I'm going down this whole road with you and listening to it so intently because I think there's a level that you expect. I think what I'm thinking is that almost any interior designer, if I didn't let you keep talking, might have thought from the first sentence or two, of course I ask how my clients live. But there is this layer that you're going much deeper. And if you are out there listening and you are doing this, well, then good on you. But if this is a new concept to you, to really drill down to this level, you can hear in the way that you're describing it, Lori, the value that it brings. And it takes away, as I said, the conversation about price. It just, because now somebody is going to, if say they're called out by their friend and, oh, you're working with a designer, isn't that expensive? Now, the first thing that a client that's experiencing this level is going to say is, well, maybe, but honestly, the things that she is thinking of that I never would have thought of are paying me back double. I would not have thought about having, a back sink in this for a serving station for my caterers, because there are people that every single time they have company, they have servers. I'm one of them. I don't do all that crap anymore. Come on.
Right.
And my kitchen's a pain in the neck when they're all there.
That's right. Because whoever built that for you never said, how do you entertain?
Exactly.
Where are you going to put the dirty dishes when you're still having a party?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, so that's part of, when I take my real life, people hear all about my life when we work together, and that everyone knows that my husband stands in the way in the drawer. And he puts on his chapstick and he puts on his watch and he checks his wallet and he puts all of it in. I'm like, honey, we're going to have to burn the house down and start over because I put your drawer in the wrong spot. And I'm never going to put anyone else's drawer in the wrong spot.
It's so true. We all have that one spot, right? Where it's like, oh, sweet Jesus, move out of the way.
Yes. That's the trouble of remodels.
Oh, that's awesome.
The value that you speak of, my clients are spending millions of dollars on the house already.
Right.
So the portion of that they devote to my help and assistance in drawing the plans and doing plan revision and going through the construction process and being open to change and suggestion as far as their specific lifestyle is concerned, although we're very focused on maintaining resale value.
Right.
To me, it's of course, I think it is, but it's money well spent.
Right. Exactly.
It's thoughtful money.
And Laura, you would agree that this is valuable to a designer at every level of their journey, their career path. If you're 1-2 years in your business, you might not be able to design the back kitchen for them, but you're probably also not working with a client that is at that level at this point, right? So whatever your level is and your client's level matches it, the point is that there's always something that you can learn that's that component more, that component extra that will serve them and their family better. And if you take the time, right, to get to it.
It's applicable across all price points. You know, where they have their coffee does not have a price tag. Right. That's where do you watch TV? Do you watch TV in bed?
Right.
Do you want a little family room? Do you watch TV in the kitchen while you clean up the kitchen? You know, how all of those little things, that's not price point.
Right. Exactly. And I think that it's a good lesson to shout out, to start to cultivate the comfort with that deeper dialogue, and more importantly, to start to cultivate the skill of asking and listening for the question. It's so funny because I just had a Facebook post with designers the other day, and there was a question on, I can't recall what the question was, honestly. But I remember saying, Google the Toyota Y. Have you heard of this? The Toyota Y?
Never.
Okay, so there was something that happened with Toyota in I think it's their principle in developing new and researching and developing new product to equip their cars and things with. And the Toyota Y is that you ask the question, and then you ask why 5 times. And that helps you drill down not only to the true physical need. So in this case, we're talking interior design, maybe the true physical. You might say, oh, what kind of kitchen do you like? Oh, I love a white and, marble kitchen. Oh, but why do you want a marble countertop? Oh, why do you this? And then finally, like the 4th question you might get to, well, every time I entertain, I have 30 people or more, and I have servers. Boom. But if you just start at the top, you don't get there. You know what I'm saying?
Right. In a white kitchen, I mean, it could not be more broad than that.
Right. And that's the thing. We're so accustomed to accepting the first answer that somebody gives us, and then subconsciously we struggle with trying to present. Oh, I know what the thing was. They were asking me, how can you be more effective at closing sales? That's what it was. And I said, well, you have to get more effective at presenting what they want. Okay. And the way you do that is by all of the questioning. And so what happens is if you ask the first question and they answer you and it's broad and you don't take it deeper, then what happens is you start to do your design plan based on this broad thing. And when it doesn't hit the mark, nobody knows why. The client thinks they answered you, but they really didn't. You think the client didn't give you enough information, but you didn't. See, do you agree? I mean, it sounds like what you do intuitively is what I'm saying.
Right. And it, it's very personal for me. The relationship is so personal to me. And I'm like, let's just get comfortable. Let's talk about money. Let's talk about PJs. Let's talk about, dirty dishes. Let's talk about everything.
Right.
Let's make it really, really personal and build you a spectacular looking house. P.S. But let's make one for you.
Right.
Let's make it real, which is what I love.
I love what you just said in there, that I can see and visualize you doing that in a consultation where you are, it's in one hand, you are coming off as a friendly, excited designer who wants to do a house. On the other hand, I know and hear your intention behind it. You're putting them at ease when you're like, let's talk about pajamas. Let's talk about money. Let's get into it. And you're giving them an easy, comfortable way, but you're setting them right up. And you're saying, as opposed to, I just want to inform you that I'm going to be deep into your underwear drawer. You know what I mean?
Not
right?
Very relaxing.
Right? And so that's what you're doing, but you're doing it in such a fun girlfriend type way. But what I'm saying is to our colleagues is don't mistake the business lesson in there, that you are very intentionally executing your business vision, but doing it in a way that's non-confrontational and feels fun and gets excited, right?
That's right. Well, and you do such a good job at educating designers about the financials and the money and talking about money. And that plays right into what we're talking about how I design a house or how I design a remodel or the furnishings. And the same thing goes for money. That is exactly what that conversation looks like is, how much are you going to spend? Probably a shitload if I were to just give you a general idea of what we're going to spend. And then we're going to talk about money all the time.
Yes.
We're going to be so comfortable. My goal is to make you so comfortable talking about money that when I send you something that has money that you're uncomfortable with, you're going to say, oh my gosh, Lori, you're killing me.
Right.
What about, like, do I have to have that XYZ?
Right.
And then I'm going to feel comfortable saying to you, here's why I have that in there. Okay. I know it's a crazy amount of money, but here's why it's there. Or, yeah, I knew it was a little crazy. Let me pull something else for you. Mm-hmm. But if we can't have that exchange, our relationship is almost over. Right. I'm almost in trouble.
Right, because if they're not comfortable to be honest with you, if they don't feel like they can come at you and say, Lori, why is that lamp $4,000?
That's right.
My laundry room.
That's right. And if I don't have the answer, or they don't feel like I'm hearing them, that, I really, really just wanted to use my old stuff in the guest room. And then if I present to them, a $45,000 guest room, I don't think they're going to feel heard.
No.
Right. And it's an exaggerated version of that, but that's how, of course. Right. And I've had to learn that the hard way. And I'm sure there have been occasions where I wasn't paying attention in the way that I should, or I wasn't picking up on their feelings about money. Mm-hmm. And I'm really clear at this point in my career that everyone has limits, and everyone has things that they value and want to spend on, and things they don't value and don't want to spend on. And I'm 100% certain I don't know where that is for everyone. So we have to be able to talk. There's always something.
Right.
And I'll say, here's the plumbing bid. And they're like, why are there 6, dishwashers on here? And I'm like, well, you guys do this and we do that. And they're like, yeah, I don't want all those dishwashers. And that's an absurd way to spend money. And I wouldn't want, I'm great with that.
Right.
But if we can't get there and just have this dialogue about the most sensitive thing of all, then we're really just kind of heading towards the end in a bad breakup.
Right. Well, because what happens is when you present somebody anything, whatever it is, and they don't see the value in it, but they don't have either the confidence or feel like the relationship can handle the truth back, then they make up other reasons and they do avoidance tactics, which means that you're still trying to, they're not answering your email and you're trying to just close down the same 6 dishwashers, and they're over there thinking, I'm not having 6 dishwashers. Whereas if the first day there was a rapport that was established that allows them on that first day to say, ixnay to the 6 dishwashers, then you can move on to 4 dishwashers the next day.
Yes, and everybody's happy. Or the $4,000 lamp that you were talking about. Exactly. If you just said, Lori, you're out of your ever-loving mind, I'm not buying a $4,000 lamp, I would say, cool.
Right.
Fine,
right.
Let's find another one.
Right.
If you say you don't like the way the lamp looks.
Right. Different story. Right.
Then we're sort of starting to spin our wheels. And that's when we're, and I say it, that it's over, or we're ending it, or we're heading towards a breakup. I mean that.
Yes.
I mean that we're no longer in sync toward a common goal. Mm-hmm. And now we're sort of evading the real issue. And I can't reply and respond and service in the same way if I don't truly understand what it is that's incorrect. Mm-hmm. We're sort of just now heading down a bad road. And I have, in my experience, it doesn't end well.
No. And take me to younger, take me to less experience, take me to the first couple of times, because I'm going to make an assumption based on my experience that the first couple of times that you figured out that the responses were not lining up. So you're presenting and they're not answering, or they're just constantly saying no. And it's, you said headed towards the breakup. It is, I want to see if you believe this, if I'm on the right track. It is the responsibility on us to crack that conversation open. right?
I'm a professional.
Right. Well, and this is the thing. So, Laura, what I'm saying now is you established your big girl panties are on. That's clearly, okay, evident to all of us. And so now you stand in that space, and you not only stand in that space, but you set the table for that at the beginning, and that's clear to us. But take us to a time when you started to understand that this was valuable, but you were less skilled at setting the relationship up, and you had to sort of recalibrate during the process. So a designer that's listening now might be thinking, oh, this is exactly what I'm going through. It's too late to set the table right. I didn't do it properly, but how do I have the conversation to recalibrate? Any suggestions?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what I can recall, time and time again early on is what I thought to be a good meeting or a good presentation that wraps up, and then you guys take this home and take these samples and think it over and then get back to me and let me know when you're ready to proceed. And they leave the office and it's either kind of quiet or they come back and say, you know what, we've really decided we're going to renovate the bathroom instead of working on this space. And it kind of just doesn't go where I thought it was going to go. What I have been able to, the corner I'm able to see around now, is we don't end a meeting before we have a conversation about how does this feel? Is there anything you guys are going to get in the car and talk about and say, holy shit, did you see the price of that lamp?
Yeah.
I would so much rather you say right here, holy shit, did you see the price of that lamp?
Right.
Let's talk about it.
Right.
Like if we're here and you're like, okay, living room looks great, breakfast room looks great, living room, blah, 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 blah. This guest room's killing me.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about it. Let's unpack that.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to do the guest room. I'm just going to use the old furniture from the last house and move it into the guest room. I'm like, cool, okay, let's get rid of that. Move it over to this side. Okay, let's talk. How do we feel about the dining room? Everything feels good, but that table is so expensive, Lori. Okay, let's talk about it. Right? Like, let's do that together,
right,
in a comfortable way that, I don't have any judgments about that. Right. I'm trying to get you to your goal, which was beautiful and functional. And if we're not going the right way, let's go a different way, but let's go there together. We can get there. But I think having that conversation right then and not allowing them to go home, get in the car. I pitched to somebody over the phone about home furnishings and gave him a budget. And I said, how does that sound? How's that feel? And he's like, oh, that sounds terrible.
I love it. I love it.
I'm like, yeah, I know. Sounds so terrible, doesn't it? He's like, yeah, it sounds awful. I was like, yeah, it is. It's the worst, right? Like, not only did you have to buy the house, now you got to buy all this.
Right. The thing is, somebody could have that reaction and follow up with, but I get it, or there's no way. I mean, that's the cool thing, right? You just have to wait and let them talk.
Said, what about this? He said, I think we could get comfortable here. What do you think we could do for here? I'm like, I think we can kill it for that.
Okay.
But if
now,
he had never,
I was going to say, what if he can't?
If I had never asked,
right,
we would have gotten off the phone and I never would have heard from him again.
Right. That's right. And what happens if you say, I think the budget's $100,000, and he comes back and says, let's not do stupid. Let's not say I thought it was 40, because you're not dealing with somebody at that level with that experience that doesn't get it. But what if he comes back and say, I thought 80, because that is a big difference. So
$20,000 difference. Yeah.
Yes. So, well, if you have somebody that is your target client, we're not talking about somebody that came in the wrong design door. Okay. Right. So you understand that they're your target client, and that you really feel, based on the whole discussion and the conversation and the consultation, that $100,000 is what this room is going to cost. And they say, because you have had the nerve to have the hard conversation, even though you do it softly and politely and lovingly, that's all clear. Mm-hmm. But you've had the nerve to have the conversation, to ask them point blank, how does that sound? If they come back with 80, do you say, that's not possible based on the level that you expressed to me? Do you say, let me go back and see what I can do for 80? How do you handle that, Lori?
I think let me go back and see what I can do for 80 is, in my experience, that used to be sort of a dodge.
Mm-hmm. Right,
like I had
because
to
you really can't do it for 80, honestly,
or
right?
right, or why didn't I do it for 80 to begin with?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Right. Maybe more importantly, why didn't I do it to begin with? But I think maybe what the response is for me at this point is if you're looking at my Instagram and you see those spaces and that's the level of finish that you want, then I know that I'm here in this price point. If we can get really happy with, really comfortable and get you moved in and get you going, and then we're going to come in 4 months and do the final layer, then we're cooking with fire, right?
Right.
But I think the management of those expectations of what that budget is covering is important, and at the doing the sorts of projects that we're doing, there's a great deal of service sort of that goes into it, as well as our window treatments and our window treatment installers and the art installers, and
right.
Having my team come with me and we style, and those are conversations that we have very clearly and very early. Is what I said, the very words that I use are, in my experience, the best outcomes are when we are thoughtful from beginning to end. We're very clear where we're going before we begin. We collect everything in our warehouse. We set up delivery. Preferably, we have the house to ourselves for a day or a week, depending on the level. And then we install, we hang, we steam, we, get it all ready. Maybe the housekeeper comes and cleans it. We light the candles, turn on the music, and say, okay, it's ready.
I love it. So here's what I'm going to tell you what you did in there. A couple things. The first thing is that you don't pretend that you can do $100,000 look for $80,000. I love that. Right? You don't. You said it. I'm going to say that if you want it to look the way you see my portfolio looks, this is what it's going to cost. And you did two other things in there that I like. You, number one, said, you didn't say it in point blank words, but I'm going to surmise what I heard is that, is it a matter of, I don't have $100,000 now, but I want the $100,000 look, which means we can do up to 80 now, and 4 months later we can layer in the things that are going to make it look like my Instagram feed. So that's an option for somebody, because that might be the option that they can live with, right? Or they can say, yes, I'm never going to spend $100 on this room, and then you're going to say, well, then your room is never going to look like my Instagram feed. So let's just be real right there. And the other thing that I love that you did, Laura, is that when you said we could do the 80, we could layer in 4 months, but you let me explain to you all the things that are going into that. And it's what we say on the show all the time. Don't take money away. Don't work for less than what you know it needs to be. But when you are presenting the price, whether it's $1,000 or $100,000, and you get pushback, repeat back all the value that you're bringing. And that's when you went into, I'm going to oversee the window treatment installation, and that costs money. Because I'm going to hire them. I'm going to install your artwork. My team is here. All the way down to, you literally went all the way down to, and the candles and the music will be on. You created an emotional connection and vision for them. And if they have the money, they will write the check then. If they don't, that conversation was over at I want to spend $80,000.
They were never mine.
That's right. Exactly.
They weren't meant for me. And the thing is, beautifully talented people who can help them.
Exactly. And you agree, would you agree that this is the same if a designer is pitching a $5,000 room that somebody says, oh, I wanted to spend $3,000 on. It's the same. It's actually even more challenging for them to create a room for $2,000 less than it is to create a room for $20,000 less.
For sure.
Right?
For sure. Absolutely. Because the margins are so tight in that. And really, you asked me earlier about, maybe not closing a sale, or what were the mistakes early on. And I think the answer for my current level of projects that I'm getting, and for my early projects, and I wish I could tell my early self this, so I'll share it with my fellow designers who are, in the earlier years of this, is trickling in furniture is the recipe for disaster, in my opinion.
Tell us about that. What do you mean?
So, the rug came in.
Oh, okay.
They're like, oh, can I have the rug? And then, you send the delivery guys over. Or when you're a young designer, you put it in your car and deliver it for free. Or, whatever it is that you're doing. And the rug goes in, and then they're like, wow, the rug feels really green. Is it green to you?
Oh.
Is it small?
Because it's out of context with your complete project, right?
Right. And then the chair comes in. They're like, I don't know. Those chairs are so white. Do you think they're too? Everything feels kind of white and green. And that's like it is.
I can picture it.
You are toast. It's over. You can't recover. You can't. Hold it all.
Wow.
If you have a $5,000 install, hold it all. Install once.
Wow. So you actually
put it all together. And light the candle and turn on the music. The candle and the music are free. Right? You don't need a $100,000 room for a candle and music. But do it all. It is so out of context. And there's no polish and finish and relation and texture and layer. And there's none of it. Right. And when clients are dissatisfied, and I used to field those calls early. I'd get a Saturday afternoon call when I was about to head out to dinner. And someone would say, those chairs seem really white. And I'm like, oh, are they too white? Do you think they're too white? Do I have to buy those chairs back?
Oh my goodness. Right.
The panic spiral.
Right.
Of the early designer days. When it all goes in and they can see the complete picture of the intent from the very beginning all the way through to the thoughtfulness at the end. Mm-hmm. That to me is how you close.
Okay. Now, taking us to our colleagues that might be in business 2, 3, 5, 7 years, and they are not often having the joy, let's be serious, of being able to design a room to completion, right? Every single thing in that room, they have, more or less like you're doing at this point, included. So we're talking about, we have a room that we are not changing bookcases. Maybe we're not even painting, for crying out loud. Maybe we're doing an area rug, a sofa, and a coffee table, and we're using their end tables and their lighting and and we're maybe bringing in some accessories. You're still saying, even though the person is saying, well, the coffee table is back ordered for 4 months and the sofa's in stock and ready for delivery, you're saying to a lesser experienced designer, just say no. That's not how I do it.
That's right. Okay. Teach them. The plumber tells me how he was going to fix my plumbing.
I love that. That's awesome.
Right. And every expert that I pay for tells me how it goes.
Great distinction.
And they tell me also, by the way, how much it's going to cost.
Right.
Right. Hey, designers. Tell them how much it's going to cost. But yeah, say this is what works beautifully for me.
Right. Here's my process.
Here's in my experience what feels amazing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is you come home, you go to Target, to your happy place, and I'm going to make some magic happen. Mm-hmm. And we're going to unload the room so when you leave it's empty, and we're going to reload the room with proper rug dimension and the way that things are meant to be, so your feet actually hit the ottoman when you put your feet up. And we're going to restyle the bookshelves, and we're going to adjust the lighting. We're going to turn off the overhead lights and turn on the lamps that we got you, and we're going to put the pillows together in a thoughtful way. And we're going to do all that, and you're going to light the candle and turn on the music. That room feels transformed.
That's a great point, because even like when you just said we're going to restyle the bookshelves, even if you're delivering a coffee table, a sofa, and an area rug, if you do it the way you're suggesting and you get them the heck out of Dodge, you actually can. Because we all go into clients' homes and are like, whoa, that is so backwards the way they have that set up. Mm-hmm. But it's not necessarily part of your venue, and they're not necessarily hiring you to do that. But you're saying on a reveal install, even if it's 4 or 5 pieces, if you just take the time to also do that, you are now transforming even their own pieces in that room and showing your value and expressing it, right?
Absolutely. And those are things that I think as the consumer, they would be thrilled to hear. I think you have to discuss it in advance. If you're going to spend the time doing it, you either need to charge, you charge for that.
Okay.
So the client needs to be aware of that.
Right.
Correct?
So it's not a surprise and you're not
No.
doing it for free.
Oh, by the way, we stayed for 6 hours because I rearranged your bookcases. Here's the bill.
No, because if you do it like that, then you can't bill them for it.
No, you cannot.
Right.
No, you cannot. That was a gift.
Laura, can I just cut you off? Do you agree that sometimes in the beginning, when you're less experienced, it might need to be a gift in order to do it? Okay, because we often forget about that in the beginning we are sometimes throwing in things to create our reputation and to create the referral base, right?
But listen as you learn and begin. You cannot, if you don't value yourself, then you can never expect someone to value you.
Right.
So listen to what you're doing and hear yourself and hear the growth and grow when you're ready. One of the easiest things I always did for free was if you send me a client and they actually hire me, I will give you a free hour.
Okay. That's nice. I like that.
So that's something I can give away because I actually got something in return.
Sure.
It's an easy thing for me to give away.
Right.
But setting those expectations and saying it in advance and letting them know how this is going to go and how you can be of service to them and how you can really give them an experience in redecorating that room or sprucing up the room in the early days is the same thing as now. We did a huge installation in Long Island just a couple of weeks ago, and I said, hey, just as a reminder before you go, I need your blessing to do permanent things in your home that I think are enhancing it. There's a little brass sign I want to put on the water closet door. And can I drill that into the door? Mm-hmm. Can I, we're putting nails in the wall and we're putting picture art hangers and we're doing permanent. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. Are we good?
Right. Okay.
And we get a big green light.
Right.
To bring all of these people in with drills, hammers, ladders, paintbrushes, electricians, plumbers to do transformative things. But let's remember that this is someone's home and they're the one who says that that's okay.
Right. Is there an opportunity here? I've had several designers on the show that have expressed that when they do a reveal install, and this has been from mid-level to all the way to luxury level, that they will often include accessories and decorative items and sometimes even permanent items, like not permanent, but heavier items, chairs and accent pieces of more value, I guess is the word to describe it, that are not included in the design. And what they say to them is, this is reveal day. You have contracted to do everything that you wanted in this space, but I'm going to take photographs, and in order to make it, portfolio ready or whatever, I'm going to bring accessories. And then what they do is they have that list of accessories and those items. And when the client comes home, it's, I really love that sofa. Well, that extra chair, well, that's $500. You can have it. Mm-hmm. So do you feel that when you're newer, so that situation, let's use it again. You're buying a sofa, an area rug, and a cocktail table. You've asked them, you've said to them, I really feel that I could take everything that you have in this room and restyle it and it would be more pleasing to you. And I expect to spend 2 hours doing that. On reveal day, do I have your permission to bill the 2 hours to do that and transform your space with your own belongings? And then would you suggest, and I may also bring in accessories that I feel are beautiful, and this way I can take pictures, and if you love them, you can purchase them. If not, I'll take them back. You agree with that? Is that a good thing to do?
Absolutely. We come with, we did a photo shoot a few weeks ago here in Nashville, and we brought, I don't know, maybe $6,000 worth of extras with us that we didn't know where we might use them, but we thought we might need them. And of course we used every bit of it and styled with it and shot. And then some of it, we have it all inventoried when I go.
Mm. Right.
So
you know what it is.
Already.
It's on a list.
Oh yeah, it's
exactly.
on the list. It's all accounted for, and there's a price next to it. And then said to the client, wow, this looks really great in the living room. Do you want me to keep it here, or do you want me to take it back? Right. And so that's easy sort of add-ons. And it also, offers you kind of a second run at polish to go in and say, when I looked in the camera, it really felt like we needed something on that sideboard, or whatever.
Right. And the thing about it is, I think what I'm also wondering if this is the tactic is because I feel like when you have less experience and you're dealing with a lesser budget, it's more intimidating to say to someone, I'm going to bring in accessories that you clearly asked me not to include. But when you use it and you say it to it, because I'd like to take photographs, you're not obligated to keep it. It makes it a little bit easier for a lesser experienced person to present the idea. Do you agree? Is that the tactic? Is that just to say for photographs, or are there other reasons that you suggest?
No, I mean, I think the photographs are a good thing. I think it's, even you bringing up photographs for young designers, I think having professional photography is one of the first things to invest in when you're investing in your business and trying to grow. Those iPhone photos, boy, they'll kill you. They'll make a beautiful room look terrible. But yeah, I think in presenting it to the client in that way, that, this is just styling for my photo shoot and you're more than welcome to it.
Right.
If you'd like to hold on to it.
And I think that as a younger designer, on one hand, you might feel that it's more uncomfortable to say that because maybe they've told you flat out the budget's $5,000 and these constitute another $2,000 worth of product, which is a heck of a lot over the budget, almost 50% over the budget. So it's not just a few bucks, right? But at the same time, I also feel that the younger, the newer, less experienced designer has the out of saying, so many of my projects are exactly what I am so happy and lucky to have been able to do for you, which is partial design, because that's what my clients need. But my photographs need design to completion. So, right, it's like kind of putting them on your side and kind of.
I think so.
Right.
And just showing them, this is where we're headed. And if you're not ready for it now, let's just shoot it this way. And I have an inventory of it all. If there's anything you'd like, you can always come grab it, pick it up,
right,
and add it. But no, I think that's a no pressure.
Right.
way.
That's what it is. It doesn't make the client feel like you're trying to shove it down their throat. You're almost enlisting the client's sympathy and help me do a good job and get more clients by pretending all of this crap is in here.
Well, and it is sort of a completion of the thought.
Right.
And that's what we want to photograph.
Right. And if they buy, they buy. And if they don't, you happily pack it up, but you got a great photograph, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is awesome. We went down this entire conversation and we left behind that retail, model that you have with your partner down there. Oh my goodness. I think we may have to have you back on the show, Lori, because there's more to talk about here. So let's just say for the record here that there is a very interesting thing happening with you and this relationship, this partnership with the retail showroom. And I just want to encourage people to re-listen to the beginning of that conversation, to try and pick it apart and explore ways that maybe they could approach somebody in their area about thinking about looking at business in a different way. And we are going to have you back and not get down another path. But I don't often let it go. And the whole time on my mind, it was that I knew, but you were hitting on such good other lessons that I thought, okay, this is good too.
We're going to go here too. Yeah, no, I think there's a takeaway there for anybody who might be listening who's a designer, anybody who might be listening who is a retailer, and retailer/designers.
Right, definitely.
Who are paying a hefty price to have a brick and mortar, who could be supported in their community by all of the other designers who are killing themselves to do it out of their living rooms. And you can be in partnership. Your goal is actually the same, and let independent designers be your salespeople.
Mm-hmm. I love it. It's awesome. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed this conversation, Lori. You're really a smart lady.
Oh, thanks so much. It's always a pleasure to talk to someone about design who really understands it and loves it like I do.
All right. What do you think? I was right, wasn't I? Practical, solid advice. I loved it when Lori said, let's talk about money. Let's get real comfortable talking about that and everything else that's going on in your life. Because as Lori explained, this is how she can problem solve and design spaces that really, truly provide solutions for her clients. The other thing that she was adamant about was the reveal model of business. And Lori said she didn't always do that, but she said, looking back, that she would do it that way if she could do it over again. One thing I'll say, it did occur to me that if you are newer, think about it. If you are newer in business and you were to insist, first, well, I'm going to just say, if you're established, this is not as difficult to do, right? That's the obvious. But if you're newer in business and you were to insist that your client allowed you to deliver on reveal, as opposed to, like Lori said, one day you drag something over in your car, the next day somebody else drops it off, right? It occurs to me that if you were to insist on that, it would set a tone for who the professional is and who the one in charge is. I'm just saying, it's something to think about. It's not lost on me that it would be difficult to do as a newer interior designer, as a baby designer, but it is something to think about. And it is, as I always say, if somebody ahead of you is suggesting and telling you that that's the way they would do it over again if they had the chance, you have to at least consider it. Okay? All right. Now, we are days away, literally just days away from Las Vegas Market 2018 if you are listening in real time. And, of course, you've been hearing about my live coaching event on Saturday, the 28th, the Power Talk Friday Tour, which is co-sponsored by Revel Woods, Designer Inc., the International Window Covering Expo, and my Doma Studio. But in addition to that, we have my panel discussion at Alder and Tweed, which will be on Monday, July 30th at 10 a.m., and my book signing co-hosted by my Doma Studio and Kravit on the same day, Monday, July 30th at 1 p.m. If you've already bought the book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, bring it with you. I'd be glad to sign it. Otherwise, we'll have some books for sale there that day. But here's the big news. Lori is debuting her new wallpaper collection, the Mrs. Paranjape Papers. This is going to be in association with Mitchell Black. The party is going to be Monday, July 30th at 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. at the Mitchell Black showroom. So there's going to be Prosecco. Lori's going to be there. I'm going to be there because I got to meet this lady in person. She is just too much. All right. So if you're going to Vegas Market, please find me at one of these events. I'd love to meet you in person and learn a little bit about your business. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'd love to know what your takeaway from this particular show was. Comments on Instagram are the best way to relate them to the actual show. So go to the post for this show, comment there, tell me what you learned. And the other reason that I like that you comment there when it's about a particular show is because then the guest gets to feel a little love too, right? And who doesn't like that? All right, go out there and decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at luannigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.